that's exactly why we make as much in-house as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Again, we make our honey mustard. I started making our own sesame dressing as a base for everything else that we do, or that just because we can ensure what ingredients go in it, from the oils to the seasonings to that. And it's very few ingredients.
I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, but thank you for coming. You're the first guest in the Paso Robles podcast.
Ooh, well, thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah, no, I every time I think of people like, who am I going to talk to for the podcast? Who am I going to interview ish kind of thing? It's mostly just like content to promote you and the studio. And I hope I do a good job, and people like say, "Hey, I heard you on the," I want to get to that point. Hey, I heard you. So, thank you so much. But without further ado, you want to tell us who you are?
My name's Stephanie Johnston, and owner of Red Scooter Deli. 2 locations now in Paso Robles, one downtown next to the movie theater across from the park. And we recently expanded March of last year over to another location at 6th and Spring across from the post office. Really excited to have a second space that's more accessible with parking, and for takeout, delivery. That's really helped a lot. Do the downtown core. Wonderful location. You're right in the heart of the city, but it can be challenging for parking and access for our little space. So this is really a new adventure for us as well. And 15 years now, December was when I rolled in and to the original location across from the park and took over. It was an existing business from a local fellow for about a year prior to that, and it was available, and now here we are 15 plus years later.
Yeah, I remember there was also ice cream somehow. Did it come with ice cream when you took over?
There was an ice cream dispenser when I got it. It wasn't in use at the time, but it was originally Parkside Ice Cream. Pete Hendy, local gentleman, long time, and started it out as Parkside Ice Cream. And then he wished to do a deli. He was very into with vintage scooters and was a thing. And so it did start off with rolled from Parkside Ice Cream to Red Scooter Deli, delivery to the local downtown of sandwiches on a little scooter. And kind of took and ran with it from there when he kind of stepped away from that. And it was just seemed like a great opportunity just to try my hand at it and see how it went. This is a one day at a time. Wasn't anything more than that, and just learning the business, the community, trying to find a need for where our niche fit in it, and grow from there.
Yeah, I remember when you first took over. The only time I ever described Paso back then was slow traffic, not a lot of foot traffic to begin with. I remember, even the sandwiches were priced accordingly, kind of thing, right? And now we're busy. Everywhere you go downtown, everything's like, whatever the rating or the cost of eating downtown is, like it reflects, right? And it was funny because I remember moving away to Lemoore in 2012, and it was still kind of okay, decent. Every time I came back to visit Paso, throughout the years after that, it was just, I just saw more and more people coming in. More and more, even your staff was like, dude, we used to be like, okay, now we're like swamped all the time. So it's like, what did you see? Did you see Paso growing? Because you got in there right when, right before I left. So for me, it was like, Paso, there's nothing to do. Like that was a common thing for kids my age to do back then. It's like, there's nothing to do. So they're all moving away. And then every time I came back, it was like, whoa.
It did. Paso really became a destination is what happened is it blew up with the wine industry and the promotion from really great promotion from our local advertising companies, Travel Paso, and the wineries themselves and their reputation. It just continued to grow. And So that really put us more on the map than from being an agricultural community
Right.
where I grew up. I grew up in Bradley, up north of Paso Robles. And so right now where Studios on the Park is, actually it used to be Pioneer Auto Parts. And I remember when I was a little kid and going in there and sitting on a stool at Pioneer Auto Parts. And now it's just everything has changed so much from when I was growing up in North County, southern Monterey County, and in that area when we talk about wine. And that was one of the original 100 acres that was in southern Monterey County that my dad was involved with. And that then with Paso and again agricultural, and as more wineries were built and came into production, and then that also brought more tourism. And with the tourism, with the growth and of my business specifically, because we partner with many of the wineries,
Right.
and people want a good sandwich to take out to on trips, on going out to the wineries. And also foodie-wise with the other expansion of local restaurants, and we have with speakeasies and alcohol and catering to more of the tourism that was coming in by word of mouth or advertising. And it just started to really blow up with each year doubling. I mean, just doubling each year. And then you've COVID hit and some changes, just really, so there was a little bit of a pause there for a bit.
Right.
But now it's what's exciting seeing, I think this year for 2025, I'm already seeing some new businesses come into the core of the downtown, and the downtown is expanding too, that with some new restaurants and shops and retail.
Behind the theater, you got some more, I want to say tasting room and...
I'm not quite. I haven't seen everything that's going to go in there yet. It's in the early stages. They just are now finished with the build out.
And that big hotel type looking thing. Oh my
Big
goodness.
hotel, and some really fun, exciting things going into the train depot down too. So all the way from 7th Street, and we're over on 6th Street with the new space.
Yeah.
Down with the Poorhouse, which I'm always a plug for other businesses as well. But seeing that from 6th Street up 14th, 15th Street, and just continuing to expand the footprint, which intriguing to see, because versus it just being right around the park, which if you weren't right on the park, then it was difficult to really gain that foothold and attraction, especially for new businesses. But I'm seeing that it's expanding for that, and good for me too. With over on our 6th Street location, that we would love to see more foot traffic from there to the downtown, and so we're kind of giving a plug for that.
I feel like whoever I don't know the full history of Paso, even though I grew up here, but whoever planned everything around the park or designed it that way was brilliant. Like, cause that would feel like the heart and pumping the veins outward, that I just feel like it was like the smartest move. It's like the only thing I can compare it to is like New York City Times Square, kind of like it is
our own Times Square. Yeah. Well, and now it's lit up with having with a really brilliant move for the city. Is they heard the voices of the community from the local businesses after they did such a fabulous job 2 Christmases ago when they did the lighting of the park. And then when they took it away, it was just so dark. and many people like, can you bring it back? And they did. They did, earlier last year where they went with the installing lights for year round on a smaller scale, of course. But I would love. It was just a phenomenal sight this past Christmas, and I'm curious to see. Right now, it's still in the works for downsizing that and going to the rest of the season lighting to see what that's going to look like. And it just makes it inviting where people can be comfortable, feel safe, can enjoy the park year round and not when it's daylight. So the evening times, it's a communal space.
Yeah, after the sun sets, everybody's like kind of calling it quits a little bit. You see restaurants downtown. I mean, that's still around. Like 8:00, 7:30, you start seeing people start close up, dark stores, start showing up. But now it's like I feel like I've driven by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and there's no parking around 7:30, 8:00, when before it was like almost dead. And I think lighting up downtown was it was a lot of help because it's scary out there when it's dark.
It was so dark.
Yeah.
And now with the twinkling lights, there's the gazebo in the middle of the park. There's sitting around the fountain. And it's just, I walk through now and I'll see families just hanging out and visiting. And besides with the playground, they're just spending time downtown, which we didn't see that before because it was dark. And the local businesses around there are benefiting from that as well. And we, with the Parkside location, seeing that as well, we'll look to expand our hours to stay open later, probably around the first part of March when it's a little warmer, a little lighter outside.
Yeah.
We love both our spaces with the outside seating. It can be a little chilly. We have added heaters downtown, and we'll look to do that as well at the 6th Street once we have that space covered, and just to make it more inviting and comfortable for people to want to spend time.
Yeah, no, where you guys are at is like a really good spot, especially like during the parade, any kind of parade that's there. You guys have like prime spot.
It is the place to be. It's right there. Any of the parades, the light parade, the Pioneer Day parade, any of those activities, or when they have festivals in the park, that our little space right there at the crosswalk comes right into us. Yeah, next to the theater.
You guys are very like, hey, what should we eat? Oh, there's a sandwich shop right there.
Right there.
Do you ever are you ever afraid competition might come in if you consider another sandwich shop competition?
It's always a fear. Anytime a new business of any kind comes in, anything food related, it's always like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, because Hotel Cheval has their like breakfast grab and go stuff too now.
They do coffee. They do, and it is something. But then looking at it as a challenge for us, more of well, what more can we do? What does our customers need? How can we fulfill that? Yes, there's always going to be competition, and I become fearful of that. But then I have to take a breath and like, all right, we're just going to
focus on you,
focus on us, focus on what we do well, maintaining quality, using our local vendors, and we do coffee and smoothies and sandwiches and breakfast and. Besides just thinking of it as a sandwich or a salad, that there's much more that we do with the smoothies, local, Joe Bella coffee roaster. And
that's one of the things I like about small community and local is you guys are sourcing everything locally. Is most of it, I'm guessing, is local.
Yeah, I think do as much as we possibly can with sourcing locally. We're talking about with our coffee roaster, which is Joe Bella out of Atascadero. And they've always been such a big supporter of us and able to fulfill our needs with the beans. We get fresh, delivered each week to us. I mean, we can't produce it ourselves, so we can get it from them. And
the bread.
Espresso, we use 4 bakeries that are delivered daily. Brian's Bread for our sourdough, Hush Harbor for our multigrain rye, La Migliore Italian Bakery, which gorgeous croissants and ciabatta we get from them. Edna's Bakery for our French roll grinders. And then on the bakery, we do bake each morning, but we do use some other local vendors for having come in with the dough for that. Because, again, a small space, we want to provide and prepare everything fresh to order, baked daily, but we don't have the space to bake bread ourselves. Right. Or to necessarily go into a production of lots of flour. Flour necessarily on a sandwich is a whole other thing. And so we do use Bramble Pie Company out of Atascadero that we get dough, and then that way we're able to bake it ourselves in-house. And a new addition we're really excited is Black Sheep Sourdough Company is phenomenal with muffins and scones that we're able to bring that in as well. And that was another niche, which just excited to have a sourdough base bakery product that many customers are just more glycemic content works better for them.
Yeah. At the beginning of taking over a sandwich shop, did you find yourself, I'm assuming you had to figure a lot of things out, or were a lot of things already in place, like there were local, sourcing locally and all that stuff? Or did you have to go like, okay, this is what I have, but this is what I want to do?
More of that. I mean, there were some that some of it was already in place on a smaller scale with vendors, but then after getting in myself is just wanting to source the best that I possibly could, and would get samples. And that was how with the Brian spread. It's like, okay, I want something better than what we're currently doing. Where can we get it?
Right.
Who can we use? And that was also an exciting time when their production facility was going online too, was right there in 2010, 2011. And so that was a great partnership for us, and to get it delivered fresh, that we're able to have that in our area. I couldn't ask for anything better than that. We have some great produce companies as well. We use Berryman out of San Luis Obispo, the Santa Maria Valley, Speedy Berries. One comes to me every day, bringing me fresh produce. And Giordano's is a local. Well, they're out of Santa Barbara, so they are a smaller, locally sourced company. Besides getting some, national products that they get in, they're also my primary partnership with them. With the 6th Street space, we have a beer and wine license there, and
which is all local beer and wine.
With craft beers, and having that in, and as soon as our patio's finished there, that were another exciting venture for us. We'll start doing some more pairing with the beer, the wine, the food. Come out with it, especially goes great with a sandwich. Is nice cold beer.
Oh yeah, especially on a hot day. Oh my goodness, that sounds like amazing.
And it was hot. This last past summer was really hot. So we are now covering our patio. So that way we can provide some shade, some fans, and to make a more comfortable space for our customers to come and want to sit and stay.
With more space, are you getting these ideas of like maybe live music out there or something along those lines?
I am with either space.
Okay.
That to be able with.
Yeah, because downtown we have concerts in the park, which you you benefit from, and then on the 6th Street, I mean, you have enough space, or maybe somebody wants to come by and do a little jingle,
And we will definitely entertain ideas for that once the weather gets a little bit better. I know, of course, this morning was gorgeous with the sun when it warms up. It's south-facing patio. And it was beautiful. And it was everywhere else is cold, but we had that beautiful sun coming in the morning. We could do with that, and nice to see people coming in and having coffee and breakfast. Out on our patio. That was exciting to see.
Do you see a lot of regulars switching over to 6th Street? Because I feel like I saw one guy that I used to watch go into the one by downtown, and then all of a sudden he's showing up over on 6th Street.
Yes, one of the main goals and reasonings for wanting to have something also out of that core was to have more accessibility for our local customers. That we had kind of seen drop off a bit with just the change of the downtown, because it got so busy. It was so busy downtown with tourism that was some of the complaints that we would hear from our locals. Was like, they just
especially with the parking,
the parking accessibility, just kind of avoided going down by the park for any reason. And we've been thrilled to see some of those faces, many of them, come back, and seen them on a regular basis over at our 6th Street location. And they're not having to fight. There's a parking lot. Plenty of parking. There's never a shortage of parking, either in the parking lot, street side parking. It's convenient. It's right across from the post office. So we also, a lot of them have changed over from, instead of going downtown, they can grab their mail, they can pop over grab coffee,
Oh,
pastry,
yeah. You just
sandwich,
added that
something.
huge convenience for them.
We're right next to the pet store as well, the pet center. And so we are extremely pet friendly, dog friendly, and we'll get to see them after they've gone in and have their grooming, which is so fun. And then they can come sit at the dogs come on our patio. We provide water. We provide sliced chicken. They love us.
Yeah, every time I've seen like a couple or somebody comes up with a dog and they're ordering a food or a drink or something, they never ask for anything. And you're out there already with the bowl of water, with a little snack, with a little some bacon or something, you know.
We give them their chicken and they know. So they're furry friends.
They've been there enough to where like, we're just getting a quick snack now.
Yeah, we have one. He's so darling. And he just like a little person, and he sits there at the table. And whether his owner, Bob, gets anything or not, he knows he's going to get his treat. One way or another, he's going to get that. And we're right next to Robbins Field, where they have a lot of youth. With
Robbins
the
Field? Oh, the field. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, with the field. It's the baseball.
Yeah.
So there's a baseball diamond there, so youth baseball, and we love seeing the kids come in. So after their Saturday games or after practices in the afternoon, or the moms coming in, popping over for coffee while their kids are at practice, and that's
or a beer,
been special.
Or a beer.
Well, I know. Well, they can do that now too. We'll put somebody else behind it. But
they drink responsibly. So I know you mentioned you grew up in Bradley, and you mentioned you were going next door and would sit on a bench at the mechanic parts store or mechanic.
It was actually it was Pioneer Auto Parts.
Pioneer Auto Parts. What made you decide to take over the sandwich shop? Was it just like you went in there, you took a bite, and you're like, this is going to be something?
I was kind of at the time in between spots, in between jobs at the moment, but I always had a passion for food. I grew up in a large family. There were 8 of us, and all through when I was in high school out there in the Lockwood area, Hunter Liggett, I worked at cafes and restaurants up at Hunter Liggett on the military base, in the NCO club, in the bowling alley. So I cooked. So I learned a lot of that. One of my biggest people is my Aunt Midge. She was Margaret Green, that I worked for her when I was growing up. And she just, oh my gosh, she was just a force in the kitchen and the restaurants that she had out there in the area. She's now retired, lives here locally, but I just always saw that, enjoyed it. One of my earlier stints before I had the deli was working for a local nonprofit, Nature Corps, and they're out of Templeton, but would coordinate volunteers to work up in the national park, up in Sequoia, in Yosemite, Channel Islands. And so I had the privilege for 3 years to work for them and Camp Chef Stoves. We'd go up into the park for anywhere from 3 to 5 days, or do youth trips for 1 to 2 weeks, and purchase, take it all up there, cook for the volunteers or the youth. They would do a project for the park, and I would feed them and provide to breakfast, lunch, dinner, and it brought me such joy to feed people. And I was kind of looking at that, had original concept of our idea of more of a restaurant setting or cafe in it, but the hours, because when you get into for me, with a family, my husband and I had a blended family of 7 children, so there were 9 of us, and so looking for also something that didn't have late night hours, which more of a deli, a cafe setting.
You're
we
like
do
breakfast, lunch.
It's breakfast and lunch,
and
it may evolve into something later as we go forward. But during the time when I got the shop, got the deli, and started running it, working there at first, the beginning was 7 days a week. I mean, just did what it took, being there every day, learning the business, working with staff, just growing the business. I mean, it was just every day, plugging away. But I was home at night. I mean, come 3, 4, 5 o'clock, we were done, and I could be at home. And it also gave an opportunity for the kids as they grew up, for our children, some of them that were interested in it, or during school
I remember
time.
one of your sons, I always saw him there working.
Yeah, so we was able to come and be it more family run on those earlier years. And if I'm there, you're here.
Right.
We're open for Christmas. Guess what? You guys
everybody's going to be there. Yeah.
We did. At the beginning, that was high because I wasn't sure. And just needed to see what was going to work and to meet the needs of the clients. And we did. I wasn't sure. So we were open every day, even on Christmas, for those early years. And then kids got a little older, grandkids started coming along. I'm like, oh, okay.
You need these holidays now with the family.
The holidays, and my staff grew too, because many of my early staff were young. And
now they're having kids.
And they got married. Yeah. They had kids. And so once they started having young families, being open on some of the holidays, now we're closed on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, Father's Day. So there are a few holidays that we are closed so staff can be home with their families.
Yeah, which, I mean, it makes sense. The holidays, people are spending time at home. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing you see to begin with, a little dip of in business or foot traffic at least.
We do some. One of the busiest, we just came off of great time between Christmas and New Year's. That is one of the busiest times of the year. That week, people are in town. They're visiting their families, so they've done their Christmas. They just want to be out.
Yeah, they're home from college, so they're done with each other. So they're trying to get.
They're done with each other. They're done with cooking. They want to go somewhere else and eat. Yeah. And that's one of our best weeks, business-wise, fun. We get to see all of these new people coming in and families. It's just such a family time to see that. In any of the long 3-day weekends, those are one of our best, most fun experiences just because we see all the families together and people are in a good mood. Mm-hmm. They're happy. They're happy to be out and about and spending time with their family.
I feel like every year downtown we see a lot of new faces I never recognized, especially when I was working at the theater. Like people will come in to watch a movie because they're taking a break from wine tasting or something. Mm-hmm. New faces. And on top of that, I would also see like celebrity faces. Like I'm sure because I'm pretty sure, and I don't know if you know who this is, but like Kathy Wood, she's a very like financial person. Mm-hmm. And I think she was there because of the fact that there's like a spaceport being built. So she's very in the tech world. And I'm like, I look over one of my employees and I'm like, hey, this is Kathy Wood, right? Is that lady Kathy Wood? He goes, oh yeah, that is. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, have you had any experience with like very popular faces come by?
Yeah, we have, and we try to be respectful of their privacy and space. But there are some that live in our community.
I know. And Josh Brolin is one of the common ones.
Yeah, and he comes in. He comes in with his family, and so gracious. And we surprisingly, it is just when I think of with Paso and what it was at one point and what is now. But no, we're a place to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
For that and being on the map and just representing our area. And I'm just so very proud of how the community is taking shape.
Yeah.
And seeing it's really coming along.
Yeah, when there was the fires up north, like Napa area, a lot of people were coming down and visiting Paso because they were trying to, escape the smoke and fire and all stuff. Now we're having fire down south, so people are starting to come up this way.
We have got ones that would come up also with geographically with the 101 coming right through here. If they shut down the 5, they come through the 101. That's why our online ordering really comes into play. We did see that when the 5 was closed here last week, that we did see an uptick in orders from people placing their online order to come through, pick up at the 6th Street location so they could just grab and go because they were having to bypass the 5 when the Grapevine was closed, come over the 46th through town, and then trying to meander down the 101 to get back down there.
Yeah, you've been doing online ordering for some time, especially since like COVID, for sure, right? Like
really?
I think a lot phone calls mostly. And then you implemented online. What was it last year? 2022.
We've had online ordering. Excuse me, since before COVID.
Okay.
Fortunately, I think we started it in 2018, 2019. That we had that in place when other places shut down, and so we already had takeout. We already had outside seating. We already had online ordering. So it was a huge blessing. That's what saved us, because we had all of the infrastructure in place to make that happen.
Right.
Whereas other businesses, they weren't. They didn't have that. Now, so many do. They were forced to pivot and adapt.
Yeah.
And so with that, in general, we're not the only one like we were at one point, but we still enjoy that partnership with our customers.
Would you recommend any food place that opens up downtown to have online ordering available?
I think you really have to have, there's just no way around not having online ordering. It has become such the norm with people on their phone, and because of what happened during the COVID time is forced that you weren't able to go into somewhere, so therefore you needed to have access, over your phone to have that contactless payment. Although we take cash still, there's there's many businesses that stop taking it and don't take cash. That it's all credit card or contactless.
Everything's contactless.
Contactless credit card or for cash, or training staff that come in on how to cash manage or give change. How to
count back change is like foreign now.
It's so foreign. And I always really try and stress for training my staff that do come in how to make change, how to count it back.
Yeah, when I would tell staff at Parks and was like, the reason why we're counting back change is, one, not because we think you're stealing or anything, but more to let the customer know that we're paying attention to their money, because that's a big thing, especially when people are using their credit cards the whole time. They don't really pay attention until they get that statement. It's like, well, how did I spend There's so many times the Apple Card sends me a notification. Oh, this last week you spent $3,000. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, but so like counting back change, like people, they're still, obviously, and we also have an olher demographic too that still handle cash.
And many of my customers the same way, and they do appreciate it. I did have one of my new girls today. I was teaching her how to count the money back. And it was a foreign concept for her. She hadn't experienced or done that before. But the customer really appreciated it, and they were so patient, and knowing that she was being taught how to give change back, and also to verify that we didn't make a mistake. Customer didn't make a mistake. It happens. You leave the cash on top of the drawer. You don't put it away. You want to see it, to where if there's ever a discrepancy that you're like, oh no, this is what I have. This is what I gave you. You don't put it away. I mean, that was always so instilled into me, like driven into me growing up.
Yeah, and I think it's still going to help a lot of kids. I feel like if somebody has their first job at the Red Scooter Deli or at the movie theater or at a fast food place, if they learn how to count back change, I feel like somehow that translates later in a good way. Like, I don't know how. Like, I've had old math teachers that come into the theater, and they would tell me, "Oh, how have you been?" Stuff like that. It's like, "Oh, well, I was the GM, at the time. I'm GM now. Thanks to your teaching of counting stuff."
It is exciting. One of my favorite things, I'm trying to get back into that again at Red Scooter Deli, is with the new staff, is being able to be hands-on and training them, and having it how I want it to be done, but also to benefit them to where they gain confidence in themselves. There's nothing I am more excited about is to see a young person come in with like low self-esteem or less confidence themselves, or not having that interaction with the public before, or even in their capabilities to make a sandwich or use a can opener. I mean, the basic skills, basic knife skills, just life skills. And I get so excited to see the growth that happens for them in our space. I mean, we just invest so much in each person that comes in their life, because I want them, I want them to be successful for my business, and they're representing me and our brand and the staff, but more so that their growth and they're gaining that experience that's going to benefit them in their life. And so I always want to keep them, never want to see them like grow up and leave, but I know that eventually it's going to happen. Right. And I'm just always their biggest champion to see that happen, whether it's growth in school or a career or their family and I have, due to that too, I've had many staff that have left and have come back. Because
I was
at
actually
a
just thinking
different
about
point
that
in their
right
life,
now.
I've had that they're like a little boomerang and come back to me.
That to me, like, you're taking care of the people who like you have, pushed to grow, and I've helped to guide a little bit and stuff like that. So like I see that, and I'm sure the customers see that too, because if people, there's a lot of people that come like seasonal, right? Like a lot of tourism. So they'll come one summer, they see you have a new employee, and the next summer they see that employee again. They just improved. I know they see that,
and so we try and take good care of them. And therefore, in turn, that hopefully that they will take good care of the business.
That's how it should go, right? When I would hire somebody who has other customer experience or customer service experience, and it would come in as like, oh, this is completely different than what I was told or how I was, like, because they'll like, I'm not saying I'm like therapy to them. It's more like they start venting. Like once they see that, oh, I'm not like every other leader or manager or whatever they've had. Oh, over there, they wouldn't even give us a break. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure you've heard stories of, because I 100% see that you take care of them. You make sure they take breaks. You feed them. You do all this delicious food. You feed them, and even they're like they'll like go to the end of the world for you.
We try to take such good care of them and respect them as well. I want them to be fed. I mean, I have not quite understood that concept with some. Yes, it costs me money. It's an expense for me to provide a meal for my staff. But I just feel that nurtures them and will benefit them through the day instead of needing to go elsewhere. I mean, sure, if they want on their lunch break to go elsewhere and eat or buy food, entirely up to them. Right. But I don't want them to feel that they have to, that they can just take that as a break time. That they just the amount of time it takes to go somewhere to purchase food.
It takes time out of the break.
30-minute break and your 30-minute lunch break. I mean, it's just then your break's done. Yeah. And try and do that. And I'm excited with what we do at the shop in the deli, besides just your day-to-day with your sandwiches and that. With our catering, we're looking at kind of freshening up and adding some new items to our catering menu as well. So kind of having powwows with some of the community on what would benefit them. There's so many Airbnbs now. And so we're looking at partnering with some of them to provide like breakfast boxes or that's ready to go. Yeah. It's all set up and to be able to deliver that when someone gets to their place. They wake up in the morning and they don't have to think about
So that would be something that the host would be like, hey, by the way.
As an add-on.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I never even thought about it that way.
Taking a little jump into some of the other things that we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I know I've always wondered where all the sandwiches came from when I would go to like a conference or a meeting or something. And there's like this plate of like, hopefully not like 3-hour long sandwiches, like open and stuff like that. So, when it's fresh, I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab like 2 or whatever. Yeah. But I always wonder like who is catering and stuff like that. Usually like at a Marriott hotel, I would assume it's in-house, but they might outsource it too.
They do. We work with some of the local, hotels that are here. And then when they have conferences that they'll go Paso Robles in, we had the privilege to deliver breakfast and lunch. We did, I think it was last week, 5 days in a row.
Really?
Because there was conference going on there. And yes, they have a kitchen. They do some things. Yeah. But to, if they're not already open or doing something at that time in the morning, to have to bring in staff to do so, that it makes more sense to have someone else. Like for us, we've been a long time provider of food for them, for businesses, for conferences, and many of the other hotels, which will do either breakfast boxes. We have pastry trays. We started doing now with actual hot breakfast pans with eggs and potatoes and bacon and sausage. And
have you done any weddings? Have anybody
we
asked you to do wedding?
The wedding. So we do the wedding packages are more of while they're getting ready.
Oh, okay.
Most people, there have been, I have to say, over the years, there have been a handful of weddings that they serve sandwiches to their guests. So they did do that. We've had a few of them do that.
Chicken or beef?
Yeah, I know, right? Kind of that. Primarily, it's for when they're getting ready in the morning, because so many people realize, by the time you get to your dinner at the end of the day, that you're passing out. So,
or like the days before when the bride and the bridesmaids are having their like mimosas on a Sunday or something.
Yeah, we've done that. We've done the rehearsal dinner. Well, their rehearsal get-togethers that they've ordered, full-on spreads. They just want to make it easy. Buffet, sandwich trays, salad bowls, dessert trays, and we do coffee boxes. We do gallons of tea, gallons of lemonade. All of those things. And then it's easy. They don't have to think about it. They just put it out there and it's available for their guests throughout. What has become even more popular today in this age, I don't recall back years ago when getting married on so many people. Usually you have the wedding, you're done, you're gone, you go on your honeymoon.
Right.
But when they do destination weddings, many of them here, is then they want to see those people the next morning. And so they'll do a brunch with bagels and pastries and coffee and fruit bowls and juice. And our park downtown sees a lot of those happening, where they'll get together in the gazebo, set up the tables, put out the whole spread. And then it's an open-ended for those 2-3 hours for anyone that's still in town to come visit with the family, see the bride and groom, say their goodbyes, and that has become very popular.
Yeah, I didn't even think about.
Me, when I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
I didn't even think about. Well, for me, when we got married, we obviously provided the food. It was a small one, so it wasn't too big. We kicked everybody out as soon as it was over, kind of thing, and then we had an Airbnb, so we stayed there ourselves for the next day, a couple days. But I didn't even think about like if a whole family gets invited to a wedding and there's a house they rent out with like 5-6 rooms, especially in this area with all the vineyards. There's definitely a lot of opportunity for the next day, the day after the wedding, for you guys to be there with the spread.
We do a lot of them for 50 plus people that they not sure how many people are going to show up, so they just set it out there for 50 people and.
Yeah, so someone who doesn't, I've handled a lot of people, especially with the movie theater business, but did you ever find yourself like being asked to do a certain amount of people and you're like, I don't know if I can handle it?
There's, I think over the years, there's been just a couple of times where we're like, all right, that's probably exceeds our capacity. And then that was when it was over the 200 range, because when we get up to that amount, can we produce that many sandwiches and salads? And yes, we can, but the timeliness of it and how it affects the rest of the business, if that was all we did for that morning in that span of 4 hours or 3 hours, that would be fine. But it's just the impact on the rest of our customers, because we're not shutting down during that time.
Right.
It's an add-on to everything else that we're doing, because since we primarily have sandwiches, salads, that we're 90% of our business is lunch, maybe 85. We do have, again, the breakfast, but it's primarily with lunch. That's the big thing that we do. Yeah. It's a big thing that we do. And so then if we exceed, we can pop off anything from 50 to 100, that's not a problem. We can add that on to what we're currently producing for the day for our customers for takeout, delivery, walk-in. But when we get over to those bigger numbers, then we've like, okay.
Then you gotta have those candid conversations with them.
We
be
did,
like, so this is what's gonna happen.
It's just not a good fit for us when we get into those big numbers and to do something on site. And then we can refer, and we're very honored to be asked. And we have done off-site before. We've been at the fairgrounds where one year where I think we're for 800 people or that, but then we were doing it on site to where that was all we did. I just had staff. That's all that they did.
I didn't know you were at the fair.
No, it wasn't during the fair itself
at
like
the
fairgrounds.
Oh,
a different event.
What is it called? The event center, right?
Yeah,
at the event center. Yeah. I always forget that's what it's called. So
with the event center that years ago we did do that a few times and. We did it. We had fun.
800 people. I'm assuming not everybody was getting a sandwich. There was other things to eat.
No, they were all getting a sandwich.
Everybody was getting a sandwich?
Getting sandwich and salad, yes. It was a lot of sandwich platters, but the walk-in coolers are your friend when it comes to that. When you can set up trays. Just a few hours of sandwich making.
How many times have you done that specific event?
It was a few times. I'd probably say it was about 6 times, but but as the rest of the business has grown, that being able to have that much staff that I can send to an offsite is challenging. So we keep just focusing on our core business now.
Oh yeah, no, that and that's one thing I know in my head. When I feel like overwhelmed or anything like that, it's like focus on the things I know what to do, and everything's just gonna be okay. And it is. Mm-hmm. It is. Like, if you guys get busy, I know there's a lot of people, focus on making the good sandwich and we'll get through the day. Focus on what you guys know. Don't overthink it. I got to help that last person. I got to get this line in. No, focus on just one at a time. One at a time.
And we'll nail it with my 2 spaces. Yeah. We're like, okay, wait, well, we're busy or here. We're going to call up.
Send them over, yeah.
Come on. You can walk over. It's just
that's
3 blocks.
That's like a chess move, right? Moving your employees.
It is. So it's like, get over here. Come on. Yeah. We can use you here.
Mm-hmm. Especially with Paso growing, and you've seen it grow. What do you want to happen to Paso for you to grow more, or do you even want to grow more? Because I know you're already. We've talked on the side. You mentioned hot dogs.
Yes.
You mentioned all these things, and I'm like, okay, so you're definitely still pushing and pushing and pushing.
So we have come up with our name. So with the Parkside location that I'm going to roll into, still have our core summer sandwiches, but Oscar's Deli Dogs. And we will expand on to with signature hot dogs, our really core hot and cold sandwiches can't get rid of. We are French dip, our Reuben, our turkey bacon melt.
Gotta keep them.
Those are Big So's Turkey Club. Mm-hmm. Our Italian scooter, just with a 3 meat, sounds like salami and capicola and ham, and those are always are going to be staples for that. And our smoothies also going to add in with fresh squeezed juicing at Pine Street location. Yeah,
people need to get the banana nut blast because that's
banana nut blast.
It's addicting.
That and our green machine.
Green machine.
Our green machine, banana nut blast. Those are our 2
and the orange Julius Caesar, or what is it called?
We have an orange Julius, green machine, banana nut blast, berry sunrise. We have a Beetalicious. I don't know. So anything I love, you're going to hear. I have a Tea-delicious, a Beetalicious. I have everything with delicious. But I think it's kind of comes from with my husband calls me Babylicious. So just tying it all in there.
Are you planning to do catering style for the hot dogs? Because I know baseball games, you mentioned the diamond that you're on 6th Street, right? The baseball diamond. Are you thinking about those kind of things too? Like if people want to buy a bulk amount of hot dogs?
We'll consider it. Yeah. It's on the early stages right now on whether doing the catering side of it for that. But we're excited just to put a new spin on
because there's no hot dog place downtown.
There's no hot dog place.
I mean, we have Yabba Dabba Dogs, but he's usually already at his pre-planned places.
But he's there. He does a great job, or in the park having for events in the park. But as far as just your being able to walk in, and so we can extend the hours into the evenings where you can just grab and go. And that's also with the downtown location is just focusing as much as we can on grab and go. Yes, we have beautiful seating. Sit out on the patio overlooking the park.
Yeah.
You can't beat that. I mean, just people watching in itself.
Yeah,
too.
there's been plenty of times where I'm in there ordering or something, and you hear them talking about, oh, we're just gonna get this and go, and then they look outside and like, oh, let's sit out here. We'll keep it free. Like they said to go, like when you guys for here to go, or whatever. They'll literally like stop themselves like, no, we should eat outside. Let's eat outside. 'Cause it's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Or if all the seating's full, you can walk across the street and there's park benches to be able to stay in the park. So it really can expand to accommodate as many people as it needs to there one way or another. But just with hand friendly food, with the hot dog, with the sandwich, with our deli case, that's been very popular of late because we have expanded our deli case there where someone can just walk in, many of them like with our containers of chicken salad or tuna, potato salad, macaroni salad.
The broccoli salad's pretty, or no, is the kale. Is it the kale or broccoli? I can't remember.
So we have a broccoli salad. So we have broccoli, quinoa.
Okay, what do you put in the broccoli salad? Because I can eat like 3 of those.
Oh, it's my husband's favorite too.
And I don't eat broccoli unless my wife cooks it in a certain way. Like
it's like broccoli candy because it has bacon.
So
it's broccoli, bacon, dried cranberries, onions, and our dressing that we make for it. And I have to say, if anybody on those carb friendly, that the dressing that goes in that is 0 carbs.
0 carbs on the broccoli. You heard it here.
one carb with all that fiber with the broccoli.
Yeah.
It is one of our big sellers, that and our classic potato salad.
Yeah. Potato salad is really good too. Yeah.
We sell a bunch of that. Gosh, we're like, I don't know how many, we're just buying the potatoes 50 pounds at a time and a few times a week to do that. So it's like hundreds of pounds of potato salad that we're cooking and making. But I love that. That's one of my favorites. But the broccoli and our quinoa, we have one gentleman that every single day that he stops in and buys a container of quinoa.
Wow.
And it's with our sesame dressing. And we make as much as we possibly can in-house. We do all of our own dressings. We make our sesame dressing, our peanut sauce, our honey mustard, our ranch dressings. We make our own ranch seasoning. Our ranch dressing is vegan. And it's, so it's dairy free, it's vegan, it's delicious. People are like, oh, ranch, but it's great because we make all of our seasoning mix. We do that with oat milk, and it just is delicious.
Yeah, I remember when I was getting the banana blast, and I think it was Isaac or something. He says like, ask for oat milk instead. And I'm like, all right, cool. And it changed it. It changed it for me.
You're just milking them oats.
Yeah.
I do with oat milk. It's got a lot more body to it than some. Like an almond milk is pretty thin.
Yeah.
But we loved it. We offer so many non-dairy alternatives. We have almond, oat, coconut milk. We have vegan cheese. We have our
brownies.
Brownies. Yeah. So we do with our brownies. We have gluten-free. We have some great gluten-free bread and wraps that we use. Super excited over one of the gluten-free wrap we're using right now. It's almost like a grilled flatbread, and with grill marks, and it tastes like a flour tortilla. Oh. And our seeded gluten-free bread. We get really excited when we can have some of these alternative products that we can offer to our customers.
Well, especially with the tourism you get all sorts of walks of life that need to, they have different things here and there. Now you have those ready in the menu, right? Like with, gluten this or gluten that. Do you ever find yourself overwhelmed, like for some reason, too much gluten alternative, like or anything like that? Like one day for some reason, there's like a convention of vegans for some reason.
We've interesting enough, you say that we see a lot of that during the holiday time because we get a lot more families coming in, of different, ethnic descents that we can provide for that we can do with the vegetarian and the vegan, and to have such a nice menu. I love that we can provide that to somebody and it's real food. I don't believe in doing something just it's plant-based. We
Right.
try and do plant-based versus something that was manufactured to be, not meat, but it's a meat substitute or something. I mean, I'm not dissonant to other people using it, but I have always, my philosophy, if I won't eat it, if I taste that, I'm not going to serve it, even if it's not something that I'm going to eat regularly myself anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just across the board, and that's why I stress with my staff, if any product you want with the freshness, if you look at it, if you're not going to eat it, don't serve it.
Right. Yeah.
So there's just my certain preferences that I have myself. But it just excites me. We always love, and also we can take it out and show the customer exactly what they're getting.
Yeah.
Like, here's the ingredients
Right.
that we have. We have ingredient
And
lists
that's
of
one of
every
the big things you can do, especially in today's age, because we look at ingredients all the time at the
allergens.
store.
Oh my goodness.
What's natural flavors?
Yeah.
We look up natural. My wife and I there was a time we were trying to stay away from certain things that were causing our tummy to not be so happy. And the common thing that kept coming up, even we can get through half the ingredients. We're like, okay, we can deal with that. Okay, natural flavors.
Well, what is so broad?
And then we look
so
it up.
broad.
It's like, it's just natural. You couldn't even find a description. It's just so broad that different things like, it has like this kind of juice or that kind of, just to add a flavor, but it's still under that broad statement of natural flavors.
Well, and that's exactly why we make as much in-house as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Again, we make our honey mustard. We make I started making our own sesame dressing as a base for everything else that we do, or that just because we can ensure what ingredients go in it, from the oils to the seasonings to that. And it's very few ingredients, and they're natural versus just a lot of chemicals going in it. And so, and that's same with our peanut sauce, the same. We start with a good base, and then we build on it from there. And our dressings too.
Yeah. So I know, just from my observation before we even started talking today, you take care of your customers. You take care of your employees. You take care of downtown in general too. Norma Moy is always ordering food from you and all that stuff.
Norma.
And I see that you also take care of yourself. Did you ever find a time? We talked a little bit about it right now, like time with the family and stuff like that. Did you ever find an unbalanced at some point? You go like, I need to stop, change the hours just so I can reset.
I did. There were a few years ago when I experienced a couple of heart attacks back to back.
Wow.
And it forced me to take more time off, do better myself with nutrition and stress, and not work every day. And that was tough. It was hard for me to delegate. There was it just, even though love my staff and trained them and do well, I struggled to delegate more and just feeling I needed to be there and being in control. And I've worked really hard the past few years to take a step back, as much as possible, spend more time with my family, do more traveling, which I didn't before.
Right.
And so I feel better. I feel more energized. And it's better for my staff too. If I'm not there 24/7, it's good for them that they grow. They grow and become more responsible and capable the less I'm overseeing the day-to-day sometimes. It benefits so that when I'm not there, it still keeps trucking along. Yeah. And I've had just true blessing and opportunity over the last few years to do more traveling. With my sister, we do trips each year. It's been a couple of years since we've done that, but we're going to meet up and go to London, Ireland, and Scotland in 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So I'm taking a trip across the pond to go there. That's some of our heritage that she's looked up. She's always wanted to go. She lives outside of Salt Lake City, so we don't see each other very often due to the distance. Yeah. And we're going to meet up in London and take our tour for 2 weeks.
My wife and I keep watching like English shows. Like we just watched Ted Lasso. And we watched other shows like Outlaws on Amazon Prime. But we noticed like they're gonna drive 2 hours because they're doing something, and I'm like, we drive 2 hours. We're still in California. So the fact that you're going to like Europe and stuff like that, I mean, you're going to see a lot of places.
We see a lot of places. A few years ago, one of our trips that we met up and took was to Boston. And I couldn't believe that we drove up thinking I was in my mind how far it was going to be to get to Vermont or all these other states. It was 45 minutes away. In a span of 3 hours, we went through 4 different states.
Yeah.
Where we can't, in 4 hours, we can't get out of our state.
No.
Literally.
No.
We cannot get out of our state in 4 hours. Yeah. It takes a little, it's going to be, well, maybe right to the border if we really hit that Nevada border.
I mean, if you hit triple digits, you can get anywhere faster.
You can. But yes, California is so broad. And it's a whole other conversation about that. But it has been able to travel back east, have tried to do more traveling. That is when so if I'm away like that, out of the state, then I can relax more than just being at home. Because if I'm at home, I have a day off, but we're still open.
Your mind's still racing a little bit.
My mind's still racing. And what I really found with the 2 trips prior that I took overseas, I went to Rome a couple of years ago, and then last fall went to Greece, is the time difference. So that 9 hour timed 8, 9 hour, 10 hour
they
timed
know you're going to be asleep.
It's wonderful because my staff is sleeping, the business is closed when I'm the bulk of my day.
You're not getting those text messages.
No, but my day's done.
Yeah.
And I'm back on the boat if I took a cruise or something. So I'm back on the ship with the drink, enjoying my day by the time it's going to hit the fan or they're going to have questions or along those lines. So that big time difference was very relaxing.
Yeah. I'm super excited. I've always been excited about downtown Paso in general, but the fact that you're saying it's growing and now you position yourself on 6th Street as well. So as it's growing out, you're like catching them on that side too. That's our goal. That's our goal. Yeah.
We want to catch you before you get into the downtown.
Yeah.
Is right there at the 6th Street as you're driving in, come see us.
Yeah.
Then you can catch us for breakfast at 6. You can come and have lunch at Pine Street later in the day when you're right over the park when the weather's beautiful to sit outside, watch the people going by. And I am intrigued, excited to see where the downtown is going to continue to go with the completion of the hotel, Railroad Street behind us with its growth, also at the train depot because there's been some new businesses going in there and some retail space besides food. We love food. Oh my gosh, I could talk about food all day, every day. Of course, having a restaurant, but I just enjoy it and live always in. And any place I'm going to go, I'm looking up what's the food. Where am I going to go?
Right.
Where am I going to check out something new, fun? Just want to try new things, but also seeing here more retail and boutiques and space and retail that is promoting locally sourced products too, with anything from handmade to or made in general with food products.
Yeah,
all in general.
Keeping the money local too on top of that,
And people want to come. If they're going to come here and visit, then they want to buy local products.
Yeah.
Not something they can get off of the shelf or get off of Amazon. They want to have something that was produced locally.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more of that in local shops that are continuing the growth of local retail.
Yeah.
So
I know Paso's going to grow,
and with your wine.
And then I have my own label right now. It's kind of it's very interesting because when I start talking to people about like wine and stuff like that, it's such a big business, but a small community. Everybody knows each other in the wine area here. That if I mention the name, like, oh yeah, no, I know that guy. Oh yeah. Like it's such a small knit community.
It is. Yeah. I love that. Well, it's also that you can have the small batch production. As well. And besides wine and with cider and with beer and olive oil. Oh my goodness, intensity and did an olive oil tasting there recently, and it's just the local product and oils that we're producing. They were fabulous. And spices too.
Yeah.
There's just so much happening here locally, and such talented,
really
creative
lucky.
people.
Like we're very lucky. Every time I think about everything that we've done or everything that's happening, like I always imagine like a snow globe over Paso. There's things happening down south, north, across the sea, but then you see Paso just like, oh man, well, let's make sure we're taking care of each other then. That's literally what it feels like.
Yeah, just supporting each other and just everyone's journey. And just when we talk about local, is like lavender too.
Yeah,
just
that grew bigger too. Lavender Festival,
and honey,
and honey,
honey and lavender and oils and wine and cider and beer. And oh my, with what all that but it's exciting.
Yeah.
There's just so much more. I always like, what more can I do? Or with our menus, like what. It's always, and especially heading into springtime each year, I have such an extensive menu, but I'm actually trying to pare it down instead of grow it. But it's more like, all right, so maybe I can tweak this back and add something more new and exciting.
Oh yeah, I've seen Kitchen Nightmares where he looks at the menu and they have like 3 pages long. He goes, "No wonder nobody can decide what to order." So that
I'm trying to pair. Ours is one of those. We're taking it a little back to reorganizing it.
But I think if it works, right? Unless you start looking at those things that you start things like, well, something's happening to where it's not working. Then you start like looking at every leg of the business. Like, okay, so it must be the menu or not the menu. It must be the product, the quality, or it's not the quality. Have you ever switched one product for another and be like, oh, we got to go back?
Yes. Yeah. We you try to experiment with breads sometimes too, or we'll find one. It's like, oh my gosh, we love this. We're really excited about the Dutch Crunch we're using right now, and getting in and it's just a game changer with night and day over what we were using to what we're using now, and so just those little things like, okay, this is it. This is really working for us. Or or sometimes you as much control over all of the product that I have or try and see or oversee on a daily basis with the 2 spots. I'm not necessarily privy or hands-on to every case of product that comes in. And so there are on occasion a product substitution or something changed. Like it was a different ham that came in. And that's what happened. It happened recently too, where the one we were using wasn't available. So a different one came in, but I didn't realize it because I wasn't the one slicing it or that it was different. It's like, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't, but it was different. It was different, and heard from a customer. It's like, hey, this is. And
I was about to say that customers know.
Yes, the customer knew, and then I could not believe. It's like, oh my gosh, I should know this.
Yeah.
I mean, I should have known that we this week had a different ham. That it was a different brand ham that came in, and I should have known it. And I couldn't believe. I was like, I can't believe I didn't know this, and. That it changed, and it was just and so like, oh my goodness, and they did. They're like, this is not what I remembered, because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And so immediately was able to, go
within reason.
Within reason, it was to our next one that came in. It's like, all right, okay, we're back, back. We made it happen. But it's just, so we really care. And that's why trying any feedback. I want to know positive or negative, or anything. If there's, and I always hope that our customers, anyone that, is willing to, if there's, have a conversation with me. I care. My staff cares. We want to know. We're not ones that are like, what.
You're not going to put it under the rug once you hear it.
It's just, we want our customer to be completely satisfied and happy. We want them to return. What more? We want them to be happy with the food that we provide. And that's, at the end of the day, that's all we care about. And if you are, great. And that's what we want. We hope to see you back. And if you weren't, for whatever reason, whether it was a, we make mistakes. Sometimes, reading a ticket, you've got 100 tickets up there that you're reading throughout the day and making the sandwiches. I mean, mistakes happen. But it's how we'll fix it. Like
Right.
we'll remake it. We'll refund you. We'll do whatever it takes
Yeah.
to make you happy, and then hope that you'll come back.
Right.
If not, but we still want you to be happy for the day, whatever we can do to provide for that experience.
Yeah.
And that's all we can only do our best.
Yeah.
And hope that the customer will also respect that and reach out. Just say,
Yeah.
we're here, we're right here.
Yeah.
Just talk to us.
Doors open.
Doors
talk
open.
to us.
Always shoot me an email. I'm on my website,
Yeah.
redscooterdeli.com.
Yeah.
You can get a hold of me direct right there. I always respond if I possibly can.
Yeah.
And we so appreciate all of our customers and our community, and we do as much as we can to give back as
Right.
well, with donations to local nonprofits or gift cards or raffles. We provide a meal once a month to Echo with the homeless shelter, and we just anything we can do,
Yeah.
we try.
We're an hour and 10 minutes in. It's insane. This is good. We were so worried.
You can flip it back.
We had a great conversation.
Talking.
Before we end it, is there a quote or philosophy that you live by, or like at least keep in mind, especially with somebody who owns their own business? It's going to be, I know there's always something that like you repeat in your head or something. Like for me, it's like just provide value. That's like my philosophy. Do you have anything like that you tell yourself, or like if you ever feel like down, or if you just reinforce the up, anything that you want to quote before we end this?
It's kind of same philosophy where just my philosophy, every sandwich, every item that we send out the door or we make is the absolute best that we can provide, and that will comfort someone. Me and food is comfort and nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to do, is I want to feed someone, and so that they feel that love that to me, food is love.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
That's
that's my
quote.
philosophy.
Yeah.
Food is love. Food is love.
And
I want, anyone that partakes in that from us is to hopefully feel that love that went into it. And that's our every day.
Yeah. Well,
thank you for
thank
having
you.
me.
Yeah. This is amazing.
I was terrified to come in here.
Yeah. First guest of the Paso Robles Podcast Studio. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having Red Scooter Deli. Yeah.